we go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's episode of Surviving the Knicks, where my brothers are truly surviving the Knicks tonight.
Yeah, man, it's tough.
They are truly surviving the Knicks tonight. Like it is just bad. Got my brothers on deck. We got CoachBNyc. Everyone's repping the Bronx. CoachBNyc. What's shaking, brother?
Good. What a game.
Yes.
I'm gonna leave it at that. What a game.
I'll leave it at that. We got Wallstreet Hec, the infamous Wall Street.
This is gonna be the I Hate Coach Tibbs episode.
Oh shit.
What are we trading for Knicks players tonight? Last time it was roast beef sandwiches. What are we trading for Knicks? Are we just let's just do bacon, egg, and cheeses because they ain't we're gonna do bodega bacon, egg, and cheeses. Right? And last but not least, the studious, the statistical Ed Dollars. What's shaking, brother?
Hey guys, what's up, man? I'm sad, man. I'm somber. I'm like, this is gonna be a really sad podcast today because
Nah, man, we need anger.
So good.
We need
They're
anger.
not so good today. They're not so good. No hope.
So if you were under a rock tonight, or if you chose to watch Netflix and was looking for an update, here it goes. The Heat smacked the Knicks tonight. It was 110-96. The Knicks total plus minus was near negative $1 million for the starters. Led by Broadway Barrett and Julius Randle, Julius Randle. They both had negative 30s in the plus minus. I think if you were looking for a positive, Obi Toppin got 18 points. All right. He got garbage minutes and did his thing. There's really no positives. I personally was shocked because I was watching the game. I was kind of multitasking, but watching the game at the same time, and thought to myself, yo, this is going to be a real good game. Like I was like, yo, like these teams are not that distant. I mean, the Heat have some, Butler's aging. I feel like Barrett can like catch him. This is the night to catch him. Adebayo, he's not strong enough for what the Knicks got inside, and it was like God laughed at me. God was like, ha! Yeah, the Knicks, it was totally reversed. Bullied the whole night. They attacked the Heat attacked Barrett from all angles. I mean, at one point, Butler crossed him, took him to the hole, scored a bucket at N1, I think it was. I mean, it was pitiful. I want to start with Coach B because Coach B is a bit, he's optimistic still. I guess the season hasn't broken him yet. So Coach B, what's going on?
So here's the thing, right? We already knew we gotta live and die with how the starters play. Hope that the bench can keep a minute. But Tibbs, like if Obi's 3 for 3,
can I say something, Coach? Did you guys read my text before the game? What I said? I read the text message. I text y'all. So y'all don't be reading my text messages. I literally said at 7:47 p.m., I said superior coaching from Miami leads to a Heat win. That's exactly what I said. And I was just like, and then I was like, oh, maybe you had this guy coming back from COVID. He can't breathe right still. But I'm sorry, Coach. Continue.
So it's like, if Obi's 3 for 3, like, you're really going to live and die with your rotation and not give your guys a fighting chance? Like, I understand they're professionals, but being down 20 is still being down 20, man. Like, you setting us up to fail. At some point, you got to chip away with the guys that are rocking, like the guys that are hungry, the guys that want to keep you in the game instead of beating a dead horse with this lineup that just can't get it done.
Jesus
and
Christ.
There's literally no changes in the rotation. And it's ugly. When the game is bad, he let the bench guys rock in the fourth quarter. If the game is good, he, for whatever reason, puts the starters back in. And it's like, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed. Oh, Obi deserved a better opportunity to get the 17 in a winning process. And shout out to the young guys, man. Cam is not gonna get a fair shot as long as Tibbs is the coach. I think that's like written, it's just written. Like Quentin Grimes has solidified his spot, which is unfortunate. And then whenever Derrick Rose come back, it's gonna be scary. And we could trend in the right direction, but the way this rotation is stacked is ugly. Shout out to the Heat though, man.
Shout out to the Heat. Wall Street.
Yeah.
Tell us what's going on, man.
We got it's like you said, man. We got out coached, we got outclassed. I can't figure Tibbs out. And I was thinking about earlier in the season. I was reading a couple of news articles, and he was talking about Frank Vogel and how he couldn't get his starting lineup together, so he kept on, making changes, and people felt like that wasn't the right thing to do. Like he should have locked down one starting lineup. And I look at that, I think that's wrong. If you're not playing well, just tweak the lineup a little bit. The Knicks are doing the same thing night after night. Honestly, I'm with Coach. Where it's like I'm getting to the point where I can't watch the Knicks when I see Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker on the court at the same time. So it's like, and I don't want to get too much into that, but when I remember, what's the thing that upset me the most about Kemba and Evan? I kind of got on the bandwagon. I felt like people got really high on them, and they were like, oh, we're going to get firepower. And then through the first 10 games, they were playing well. But it's like, it's fool's gold. These guys just got off of playing with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And they couldn't help those guys get to the next level. What makes you think they're going to get a young RJ Barrett and Julius Randle to the next level? So when I saw those two coming in, honestly, and I still think this today, if you gave Kemba and Evan the ball coming off the bench, I think that they will be phenomenal. I think that they will get their swagger back. I think that they'll get back into a rhythm. But when you got them on the court at the same time, they're getting attacked. You talk about RJ Barrett getting attacked. For the last 6 games, I've been watching Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker get absolutely attacked. I don't know how they're not crying for their mother and asking for an exit, Kemba Walker's always hurt. Maybe he's not even really hurt. Maybe he's trying to get off the court because offenses are designed to go right at them. And then as far as our offense, what do we got? We got a shell offense that runs through the pick and roll. We have no creativity coming off the offense. When you watch the Knicks offense, everything is happening on the ball. There is nothing happening away from the ball. It's an absolute nightmare. And, when Kemba and Evan take a seat, we actually look fun. I think that Quentin Grimes looks great, and he's definitely working his tail off. Emmanuel quickly, and I'll just leave it at this. To Tibbs, the young guys are leaving it all out there. They're leaving their blood, their sweat, and their tears out there. And you're not giving them the ball, man. It's horrible. It's a nightmare to watch.
Definitely. Hey, come on, man. Pick it up. Get it up, man.
Man, how I was wrong from the beginning of the season. I thought that Fournier was the key to unlocking the team. I thought Julius Randle would unleash that third NBA, second NBA beast. I thought RJ would step it up, which he has. And I thought Kemba would be the roadmap. And I was totally wrong. Wow. Today, they got beat by a more aggressive team. They got bullied. We could look at stats. We could look at the game. We could look at the offensive efficiency. They got bullied. Jimmy basically said, no, RJ, you are not going to be the next Jimmy, and bullied RJ, and everybody else bullied Randle, and the team withered. I said it earlier before the live chat, at the peak of this game, we were down by 30 in the first half. Van Gundy was like, this team doesn't have it. Van Gundy said it like 12 to 15 times. The starters, you can't be negative 30, guys. Now, you guys are right. Some of the young guys played well. Grimes played well. Obi played well. And the more I looked at Obi, I was like, man, my God, he looks just like Stoudemire. And I'm wondering, first, second year Stoudemire, the Suns on the Knicks, would he look like Obi? Like because we don't have a guard, we don't have anyone that actually penetrates into the lane and kicks it out for easier baskets. We got, just like you said, Heck, we got, on the ball pick and rolls, and that's our offense. Luckily, RJ can craft his way into the lane, and sometimes he gets it in. That's the best we got. The rest of it, they look like prayer shots. They don't look like a cohesive offense. The Knicks have been, in the last 11 games, we're 5-11. The first 5 games were winnable games. We lost many of those. The last 5 games were tougher games, and we only won 1 game from the Clippers, who didn't have their 2 studs. Looking at the offensive, defensive stats, our offense is basically what it was last year. Our defense is in the bottom half of the league. So therefore, that's it. Our net rating is basically even. When we go into a game, it's a coin toss whether we're going to win or lose. And the eye test proves it. The eye test, the Knicks don't look good, man. I was watching the Hawks. I was watching Charlotte. Those are entertaining NBA games, league pass games. You would think that a young team like the Knicks, because they are young, Julius is still 26, you'd think that we would be kind of fun and young and excited. We're not. We look like the oldest, youngest team I've ever seen in my life. We are the oldest, youngest team. Slow it down. We have no fast breaks, and it's sad all away.
Free Obi.
Free
I honestly think we need to start selling people, man. I think Derrick Rose got to go. I think Julius Randle's got to go. I think you play Grimes. I think you play Obi, and you do something with the point guard position.
I mean, Julius. I think it's time to trade Julius. I don't know. They just look. I mean, or trade the coach. I mean, you got to get somebody. I mean, that has to be the next.
Address the elephant in the room.
Listen, the next offseason, the upcoming offseason, free agency should be about coaching. You got to get somebody to help Tibbs. If you're going to keep him, if you're trying to invest in him to help shore up their defense, you need to go with a football tactic with this. He'll just run the defense, and you got a guy running the offense. I know that's not legitimate, a real reality in the NBA, but that's the only thing you can do. Unless you just fire Tibbs. I mean, Tibbs is just, he is a great assistant, but he is not the head. He's not the head coach the Knicks need. He just isn't. I mean, I was watching the game. Look, they were 30 to 13 at that point. And I'm looking,
That's the first quarter.
No, and I text you, I'm like, yo, what are they doing right now? It's just when the Heat don't even have a sophisticated offense. The Heat are just they just punch you in your mouth and just drive at you.
How good
they look more creative than the Knicks. And it's like, dude, what is going on? Like, I don't know. I was going to ask you guys tonight about RJ's January so far, right? Because despite this loss, RJ has emerged for the most part. His numbers from Twitter, from his numbers that I saw from Twitter, shout out to Coach B for linking us to that. But RJ is averaging 23.3 points for as of, I mean, it might have dropped a little bit, but he's averaging 23, 6.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, I believe, shooting 42% from 3-point range. These are all stats before this game, obviously, but I mean he has emerged. I don't know if it's a positive though, because since his emergence, the Knicks are like up and down, and you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like that late 80s, like 88 Knicks, where they had Rod Strickland, Mark Jackson, and you had a coach that just really didn't know what to do with them. He had 2 great point guards, and he was just like, I don't know what to do with these guys. And it ended up, they didn't win. I mean, they won. They were successful, that they weren't as good as they should have been. And I look at these Knicks, and I'm like, I felt like this was a game that should have been tough. Like, and they look lethargic. I mean, when your rookies and your second year players are the ones that are keeping you in the game, it's not, I mean, some nights that's a good thing, but for the most part, the starters just gave this one up. I mean, you look, it's like 59-46, and that was like the closest they ever came in this game at that point in terms of points, margin of points. But we start with you, Wall Street. Do you think RJ's emergence has stagnated the Knicks?
No, man. Actually, I think that RJ's emergence it comes out of frustration, honestly. Now, I was thinking about this. I was like, okay, and this one's for Eddie. All right. So check this out. You're an accountant, right? And you're the head of your team, right? You're the head of your team. You're an accountant, and you have 5 accountants under you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you do great this year. You do great, and you and your team help your company make a lot of money. So your boss comes to you and says, hey, thanks for leading the way. Next year, I'm going to hire somebody that's at your level, and they're going to help you. And you're going to be able to take a little bit off your plate. You're going to, the workload is going to lessen. Now, when that new accountant comes in, he's horrible. And you're worse now because he disrupted your whole team, and you have to make up for his work. So this is where Julius Randle is. He was told that he was going to get help. He was told that his workload was going to decrease. And instead, not only has his workload increased, but the guys that you brought in are the ones that are dragging him down. They're the ones that he has to cover for them. So you know what RJ does. This was an RJ question. So Julius's play, I think it comes from frustration. And you know how Julius is showing it? He's showing it by being lethargic. Now you look at RJ's numbers and they increased. He's a young guy. You want to know how he's showing his frustration? He's shooting the ball more and attacking the rim. He's like, he's taking not so RJ type shots, but you don't want to come in and say, we're going to win every night because RJ is going to give us 23 to 25 plus and Julius is going to give us 30 plus. Early on in the season, we were winning because the ball was being distributed and you had, 5 or 6 guys that scored 10 points or more, but nobody scored 27 points. Right. So RJ is frustrated, and you know what he's going to do? He's going to go try to drop 27. And sometimes that's going to be 23. Sometimes that's going to be 17. And maybe once or twice, it might even get up to 30. But RJ is not taking the jump shots that the type of shots that he would be taking if he was a guard on the Knicks that were playing fundamental basketball. He's not taking fundamental shots. He's attacking. And you know what, too? All this attacking is really showing his biggest flaw. RJ has absolutely no right. He can go right. He can go right, but he can't finish with the right hand. The league is going to catch up to that. And until he develops that right hand, they're going to start flooding that right hand, and it's not going to be so easy getting to the basket. So I feel bad. I think that RJ's shots, I think they're frustration shots. I think that they come from a place where, you know what, I'm not going to give up the ball. I'm going to go do me. And it's not going to end well.
Okay. Ed, what do you think?
I was actually, first of all, since you started with Julius, I'm going to talk about Julius real quick. You give Julius too much credit. Julius, what we've learned in the last 11 games is he's a very low IQ player. The last game, Quentin Grimes went up to Julius and was like, you could take the ball on the half court, because he was stuck and he didn't go in the backcourt to get the ball. And then you look at Julius's history and you're like, you know what? This makes a lot of sense. When he was a bit play, like last year, he was the go-to guy. So he got the ball wherever he wanted and he could do whatever he wanted. He did well. There was no people in the stands. Before then, with the Lakers, frustrating player, made a lot of bonehead decisions. This year, frustrating player, made a lot of bonehead decisions. When he was with the Pelicans, he was playing himself into a contract, and he just lucked out with the Knicks that we needed him to do well when Tibbs came across. RJ, You know what? I've enjoyed RJ's January. I love the fact that, we haven't had a player that can kind of like get into the lane and sneak in the lane and make the layups that RJ has been doing. I don't remember the last time we had a player like that. You know what I'm saying? He don't look the fastest. He don't look like he could jump that high, but yet he's in the lane. Yet he's banging on people. He reminds me, not like from a passing perspective, but from like a pace perspective, James Harden, and the way he kind of like finagles his way into the lane. He doesn't play like Jimmy Butler. Like now that I look at Jimmy, I always thought that he played like Jimmy, but maybe I got conned because of the whole tips thing. He doesn't play like Jimmy Butler. He actually has a little bit more finesse than Jimmy, and he does go left all the time.
Yeah.
But the good thing is he's a lefty. So that's not a natural spot for most players. Most players are righties. He's a lefty, and he gets a little bump because he is a lefty. And going left is hard.
Isn't he righty and he plays left-handed?
Nah, he's a lefty, but they're scouting him now too.
Yeah, he's a lefty.
You see a lot of teams trying to force him right now because that's not his dominant hand.
Yeah.
Especially I think they were playing Washington the other night or some team.
No, they went zone. No, they went zone.
Yeah, and they were like
going zone.
Yeah. They were like
so beyond like him sneaking into the defense, he's been really shooting the shot. One thing I haven't seen though, a lot of these shots that he's been making his January was not like it wasn't like ultimate takeover shots. It was like in the flow of the offense shots, and he just like got hot in certain locations. The best part of his January was he plays well when the ball is in his hands and he can play make a little bit. And I like that versus when Kemba's in there and Julius is in there and RJ, he can't be stuck in the third spot, waiting for the shot. He's not that catch and shoot player. So that's one of the fundamental problems with the Knicks. They got too many players that need the ball in their hands to actually be better, and they don't have enough role players. You know what I'm saying? You have Burks at times when Kemba's not playing, he's playing out of position. You have Julius that believes himself to be a star, acts like a star, gets paid like a star, but is the worst star in the NBA. He's literally the worst from a plus minus statistical perspective, the worst field goal percentage player that is considered a star. Wow. And then you have Julius, who's a rising player. He's still very inefficient. He had a good game against the Clippers, but he was 6 for 19. You know what I'm saying?
Barrett, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Julius, Barrett. Barrett's still like a little bit inefficient. He's working his way into the lane, but a lot of times he gets blocked. He got blocked a couple of times today. But from my money, I prefer when the ball's in RJ's hands. Visually, it looks more appeasing to me. I feel he gets the ball to Mitch more often. I feel that there's more offense. And that's why when RJ plays with the bench guys like Quickly or Obi and those guys, there's a little bit more pace to the game. I like that pace. Is RJ a future superstar? I still can't tell. But I do like the fact that he can break down the defense. He definitely has to work on that right. And, I like the ball in his hands. Yeah. And Julius is a low IQ player. And I think there's an internal struggle. I said this like a bunch of times. There's an internal struggle between Julius and himself in the fact that he wants to take the shots that he wants to take. And Tibbs is trying to ride this horse that got him the coach of the year and the 4th seed last year. And the horse is not the same.
Got you. All right, coach. What's up, man? RJ's emergence.
The horse is the same. It's just that, the guys are different out there. Like the game is different in the perspective that teams have gotten better on the East. So
East is stronger this year.
But he's not doing this just against the East. It's every team. He's playing trash. I mean, yes, he'll have a couple good games, but his good games can be against good teams. It's just his general overview.
No, definitely. Low IQ, terrible body language. I'm not a huge fan of when he's not playing well, and the media stuff. I'm a very low fan when he is playing well. The Clippers game, he shot great. I think Julius.
He was doing his thing in the Clippers game.
RJ shot, I think, like 9 for 22, but it's okay. I'm happy with him getting 20 plus shots because he needs to learn from those, misses. So like his shot selection will only get better, especially because he's really a team first kind of guy in that sense. We've seen him early on in the past 2 years, like look to find guys, look to be unselfish. Fizdale had him playing the point for a little bit. So like he got that part of the game, cool. And now he needs to again develop, so he could be more aggressive going right, but more so just be successful when he does pick his spots. Getting those bump in the lane jump shots that he was taking after sealing his man down low and just being more aggressive. Like I'm happy with whatever RJ gives us all offensively, especially the more points the better, because we need a guy. And why not have him be the guy? Because he has waited his turn and he is developing. As far as who we have around him, like the starting lineup is unfortunately still the starting lineup. Like label this episode starting lineup because like that's just is what it is. And even when Derrick Rose comes back, he's not gonna help to put him in the starting lineup. I think that the best we can do is pray that Tibbs realizes that Obi gets the easiest baskets out of anyone on the team. So we have to ride that because Obi's gonna run hard, regardless of his mistakes. At least he's running the floor hard. Like Mitchell Robinson, you gotta like find him down low, and every time he touches it, I feel like it's a 3 seconds that the ref don't call, and like he's dunking it on occasion. But it's like
Mitch is playing well. The last 10 games, he's been playing well.
Yeah, but why do we have to drive, get a jump pass for Mitch to score the ball? Like Mitch, like dive hard, be more creative, and like definitely I'm tired of the pick and roll. I'm tired of the pick and roll, man. If we didn't pick and roll the rest of the year, I think I've seen enough pick and roll from the Knicks or dribble handoff, and it's like this handoff business it's not working like at the top, and like it's definitely not working to like go downhill. Maybe a handoff into like a mid-range shot or a handoff and then to a reverse to the corner or opposite or something. Sure, but the offense just sucks. Yeah. In short, it's disgusting. And RJ, keep shooting the ball, man. At least for now, until we get you some help. And Cam, good luck. Good luck with this,
man.
It's Knox 2.0.
So many questions.
We got so online. We got Clearview on. We got Clearview in the house. Clearview said when you have an emerging player like RJ, but your coach is playing through a sinking Randle, it's asking RJ to hold his head out of water while his body's sinking. Yeah. He also asked, what do you guys think the Knicks record would be if they had a coach like Pop, like an actual real coach? And we also got Big Task at Hand. He said, what up? He saluted y'all. And he said that he's just like he's basically saying it's time to trade Randle. He said you just look at Randle and you say, Randle, just please just leave now. I
mean, is there a market for him? Sure. I don't think there's a market for him.
It may not be.
By the way, CBS
there's definitely a market for him. We could definitely get something. But I guess RJ, do we give up?
Hold on. What happened? What'd you say, Coach?
Yeah, sports. RJ is righty, but shoots lefty, and so is Ben Simmons.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. Don't make no sense.
For this next question, all right. I guess now is the time to ask because it's almost February. It's February's next week.
Trade deadlines.
We're at the point where we need to start thinking what's the next step. So I'm gonna ask you guys, what do you think the Knicks should do next week at the trade deadline? And what do you think the Knicks should do at the trade deadline? What do you think is their next move? And we're gonna start with you, Ed. What moves do you think should they do? They tank? Do they try to see what they could conjure up? I think they got all the magic that they could get out of getting with Cam and poor Cam. But
I think that you got to play the kids. They got Cam, and they traded Cam for a first round draft pick and Knox, right? So you got to play him because Cam wasn't happy with the Hawks because he wasn't playing. He wasn't getting any playing time. And by the way, he was averaging 22 minutes a game. You think he's happy playing 5-6 minutes, 7-8 minutes? You think he's happy that like Alex Burks is in front of him? That Hodge Gibson is playing? He's playing garbage minutes. So I think you need a consolidation trade. I think, less is more. And I think you got to trade some of the vets like Alex Burks. You can get something for Alex Burks. Alex Burks is one of those guys. He goes to a winning team. That team's going to continue winning. I think you got to free Derrick Rose and get something for him. Derrick Rose and Alex Burks, I think you got to definitely try to do those trades. We got to see more Grimes, obviously. We got to see more of Cam Reddish. Like, he's going to want a contract. He's not going to want to stay another year because he already had an issue with the Hawks. So you got to play this guy at least 20-something minutes to see what you have. And I think you got to, I'm not saying tank, but I'm saying you got to change direction. The ball has to go through RJ, and we need a playing style that fits and is conducive with RJ. We got Obi Toppin, who was a 7th round draft. He was the 7th pick a couple of years ago. He barely plays. He played today because we were getting blown out. What do we have in Toppin? And then ultimately, and I said this a lot, what's the ultimate blueprint? Can we win with Julius being our number 1 or 2 best player, and playing through the post with the ball in his hands, with him directing everything, with the offense revolved around Julius? And I think that the answer is no. And if that's the answer, then why do we have Julius? I don't think that we can trade him at the trade deadline, but at the end of this year, I think we should really consider him to trade him. And I would love to get Ben Simmons. I said that a bunch of times, but for the trade deadline, I think you got to do a consolidation trade. I think you got to free up the wings. You got to get more playing time for Cam Thomas. You got to trade Alex Burks for a draft pick, not a player. I think you got to trade Derrick Rose for a pick. And you got to play some of the younger guys that you have, because what's the point? We're outside of the top 10. We were the 4th seed last year. Right. We're outside of the top 10. What are we playing for? The play-in to get bounced in the first round? Is that where we're at? I don't think so.
Nah, I don't think so either. Wall Street.
Well, I'm watching the standings. I'm watching the standings, and the East is so tight that I wouldn't tank yet, But I definitely would, give the young guys the ball, I think that I'm not big on tanking. I really don't believe it. I believe in it. I think that there has to be a really special situation for you to tank. I don't think that the Knicks fit that criteria that I have for tanking. But and the East is really tight. We can go on a 6-game winning streak, and things can change.
We got the second hardest. By the way, I'm sorry I didn't say this. We got the second hardest schedule in the second half.
Our schedule.
It's over. Hang it up, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh man, man. Let the boys play.
The tanking should have happened last year. This year, the draft is horrible. The draft is not horrible, but it ain't good. Like
number 2.
Like you're getting like Chet Holmgren. He's 7 feet, 195 pounds. That's like your number 1 pick this year. Like the kid needs a sandwich bag. Like
sandwich.
Well, I'm sorry, Wall Street.
No, but man, we have the same hole that we had coming into the season. We got a hole at the 1, we got a hole at the 3. I think that hole has been filled, man. You get Quentin Grimes in there at the 1, you continue to develop Emmanuel quickly at the 1. Then you got Derrick Rose coming off the bench, kind of coming in as a leader for those 2 young guys, but you're not seeing that. And I just don't understand where Cam Reddish fits in. I love Cam Reddish, but don't we have that problem with Obi? We need a 3. And you know what?
Cam is a 3. Cam is supposed to be a 3.
Cam is a 3, 6'8", 215.
Obi's a 4.
Just don't play.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Grimes is the coach.
I look at these. Listen.
Get him on the phone.
Nah, man.
Grimes is a 2, by the way.
Yeah, he is a 2.
Grimes, he can't play no point. He don't got the hand.
McBride is a 1.
That is a 1.
All right. So Man, I want to say Tank so bad.
Press the button.
Like, Tank, man. It's over. Number 2, the second hardest schedule with a unit that you don't know what you have. Like, literally, like, when you come out against a top team and you come out as flat as they did, like, even though Cleveland game was a tough game, it's like, come on, man. Like, these veterans don't have it. And, like, obviously Tibbs don't got it either if he's not thinking about what could you do to help this lineup. And I know the answer already. Play somebody that's going to give you 100% effort. Like, either play quickly at the 2 to start, or start Obi and, like, play small or something, because this don't even make sense. I don't even want to give advice because I know you're not listening, but
I'm listening.
No, I'm talking
oh no, he ain't listening.
Yeah, like somebody send this to him, man. If you're a friend of Tim, send it to him.
He ain't listening to nobody.
Because, like, it don't make sense. Like, you are
blindfold at the wheel.
Insane. He is insane. Beating his head against the wall, looking for a different outcome. Like, I'm gonna keep playing the same guys. And it just, like, doesn't work. And I get it, 3 or 4 games, you give guys time. We're like 25, like 50 games into the season. Like, 25 games with this lineup is not helping us. Like, I know we love Mitchell Robinson, but he doesn't get enough easy baskets to warrant playing that many minutes. Julius Randle does not get enough easy baskets. Yes, he gets buckets, but does he get enough easy baskets? And it's like, Kimba doesn't get enough easy baskets. Like, Quickly's cool. He can run. Him and Obi run well together. Burks is cool because, he's a lengthy guard. Like, he gives decent effort. But, like, we need a guy that's going to constantly dive on the floor, constantly going to give the other guys around him energy. And then that starting 5 is just disgusting. It's a waste.
It's unathletic. The starting 5, they're slow. They're slow, and they're playing a fast-paced team. They can't play with fast teams.
We got Ali Burke, who is a journeyman, playing, filling the point guard spot. It's too much, man. It's too much.
I think you trade Alec Burks. Burks probably has to go because he's looking good right now. Julius has to go somewhere. I think Canal made a point. Canal popped up. You may Tank may be the best thing, and then don't even draft it. Like, get a decent spot in the draft. And maybe go after Zion. I mean, you get a 3rd, 4th pick because the Pelicans
get a bunch of draft picks.
It is known around the league that Zion is not going to re-up with the Pelicans long term. He's gonna do his rookie contract. He's gonna use up the rookie contract, and then he's gone. Like, everyone knows. That's why, like, the restricted free agency, no one's really gonna go after him because there's no point. And when you can get him you can get him in actual free agency.
Although he looks like he's not looking so good now, though.
But I think in the situation that he wants to be in, I think he's pulling like a Ben Simmons. Like, he's just like, he's like, you know what? This ain't it for me. My boys just got to New York. And that you just gotta listen right now. What the Knicks have, they have a team that's set up, but they just don't have the right point guard. They don't have the right point guard running that team. They needed a guy like Lonzo Ball. Or a couple years ago, when they could have got LaMelo Ball, when they could have got that 2nd pick, they could have traded him to Golden State. They didn't pull the trigger that either. And you know what? I'm just saying.
There's a rumor that they want. There's a rumor that they're looking hard at Jalen Brunson from the Mavs.
He's not a bad pick. He's not a bad guy to pick up. But again, it's Tibbs. You're right. It's Tibbs. Tibbs. It comes down to Tibbs. We got the free agent market. We may, instead of looking at players, we may need to look at coaches.
And let me add one thing about Tibbs. Like, a couple years ago, I went to the Sloan Analytics Conference, and I met Tibbs.
Yeah.
And this motherfucker was doing a presentation on the modern NBA. and he talked, and he had a bulletin on the modern NBA and what, and what he learned.
He plagiarized that.
Like he straight up said that, he was away from the game for a year and that he went to multiple different teams and he learned that, he had to adjust his ways. This guy hasn't adjusted anything, man. He hasn't adjusted anything. He just said what he had to say to get the job and reverted right back to who he really is. The only thing he does is his team shoots more threes this year. That's it.
It is what it is. So, question, fellas. I'm gonna give you guys. We're gonna do a football theme. We're gonna run the option. Give you guys a choice. In NBA news, what do you think is the bigger headline? LeBron James being on the cusp of passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for all-time scoring, or James Harden one out of Brooklyn? Basically saying he's out of here. He's frustrated by the Kyrie situation. Who would have thought? Right. So let's start with you. We're gonna start with you, Wall Street. What's the bigger headline?
It's the bigger headline.
What do you think is the bigger headline to you? LeBron passing Kareem for all time, or James Harden saying, I'm tired of New York? He also mentioned he didn't like the weather and the taxes here. Who would have thought?
Yeah, we knew that James Harden was a knucklehead. You just put 3 knuckleheads on a team. All of them want the basketball. I don't know who said it, but a wise basketball head once said, there's only one ball. You know what I'm saying? So, you can't have, these 3 guys out there. I loved it. I love it as an experiment. And I know that somewhere in one of our episodes, I said, hey, listen, I think that Brooklyn is going to even have a great season, and I was right about that. But they're going to get smoked in the playoffs the first time they play a big physical team, So, but, shout out to LeBron. I always argue with Eddie that I don't like to argue, who's the greatest of all time. I like to think about it like this. There's a whole bunch of goats on the pasture. I don't like to think about, Tom Brady over Steve Young or Jordan over LeBron. It's different eras, but I will say this: sports is an evolution. You know what I'm saying? So to say that today's athletes aren't better than the athletes of yesteryear is to deny evolution itself, if I want to get poetic with it. You know what I'm saying? Okay. But so we need these records to be broken. It proves that the game that we all love is going forward, if these records aren't being broken. And LeBron for me is one of my favorite basketball, not just basketball players, but basketball personalities. When I think about the LeBrons, Kobe's, and the Jordans, I like to think like, I like to give some weight to the personality, to the kind of character of the player, and Jordan was a bit of a psychopath. Kobe was a bit of a psychopath, but he was a girl dad. So I think that came out in him, and he actually was a teacher. See, Kobe was a teacher, and I always respected that. Jordan wasn't so much of a teacher. Jordan was like, Jordan was really to himself. He was really selfish and really greedy. While Kobe, I think, was much more giving. And I think that LeBron, if you're looking at personality, is probably the best of the 3 of them. He's just an actual role model. And if my son was to tell me like, Jordan is my hero, I'd be like, what are you, a degenerate gambler that smokes cigars and drinks whiskey every day? Is he really your hero? But if you told me that LeBron was your hero, I would be like, and maybe I think about it too much, but I like to give personality a little bit of weight. And on top of that, you can take this to the books. He led those guys with assist numbers. So you can't argue the fact that LeBron has put his team first. And Pippen recently came out and said, if you look at Jordan, look at this guy. If you look at Jordan, Pippen said this recently. He said all of Jordan's accolades were personal accolades, and this is a team game, and Jordan was selfish. Jordan definitely was selfish. Kobe was selfish, a little less selfish, and LeBron was the least selfish of them all.
Oh man. Okay.
Yo,
So shout out
you
LeBron.
saved my
Wall
kids.
Street,
I'm not gonna
Wall,
lie, you
Wall
saved a
Street,
lot of my boys.
you kind of sound like a jaded ex-girlfriend, but we get it. I get
love
the hate
Jordan.
though. I get the
I
hate
love
though,
Jordan.
but I
I
get
love
it.
Jordan.
It's
I love
legitimate.
Jordan.
It's legitimate.
I love
Good.
Jordan.
You
He was
just
a
saved
coach.
a lot of my kids when they
Coach.
argued about LeBron business, man.
Coach, LeBron breaking the scoring record or
James
Harden
Harden
crying?
easy, man. James Harden easy. Like when he first got here, everybody thought that it was a match made in heaven. Like, oh, they're going to the finals. They'll win a couple. And like everyone knew that LeBron was gonna break the record eventually. Not, even though it's a great feat, it's not that big of a deal. James Harden showing that he misses Houston and the turn-up lifestyle that he had in between games. Yeah, that's we should have saw it coming, but yeah, it got swept under the radar during the trade. So now I envision him going somewhere warm and definitely, where he could still turn up. Cali might be calling him, man.
Well, he's from there.
I know,
Compton.
I don't see LA in his future, but if he could turn around Sacramento, he felt like it, and
Miami.
Might even make the Clippers, if they move some pieces. So definitely somewhere warm where there's a lot of women, cheap taxes, and booze. That's
and chicken wings.
And from a New York standpoint, I hate it. It's always the city's always better when we're both competitive. So if it's not gonna hurt them overall, but it just takes away from the game and being how New York is with basketball, losing the star is losing the star. Even though, thank you, go ahead, walk out of Brooklyn, man, and don't make it a fair trade. Just ship them for free. I don't need anybody else coming in here. Don't send Ben Simmons to the Nets. None of that.
Hey, listen, Ed. Biggest story, LeBron or Harden?
The biggest story is Harden, obviously.
Okay.
I haven't even heard about the LeBron Kareem thing, but Harden I've heard about, and that tells you. And you know what the next biggest story is? Kevin Durant's bad decisions. You know what I'm saying? Bad decisions by Kevin Durant. But back to Harden, Harden, you have an opportunity to win a championship this year. Unfortunately, if you and KD can convince Kyrie to get vaccinated, it's a walk in the park. You could walk right into the finals and eventually win the finals. You haven't won a finals. You have never been to a finals. You have an opportunity. Well, I'm sorry, you've been to a finals, but you haven't won a finals, and you've been trash all the other times you've been at finals. You have a bad playoff performance record. This is your chance to resurrect your career in that sense. True ballers like us will know, obviously Harden in the regular season was a beast, but was always a little trash in the playoffs. He has a chance to wipe that clean. Why are you talking about going to another team? You were playing with the greatest player that you've ever played with, Kevin Durant, and another revolutionary player in Kyrie. Now, what I think that his shine dropped a lot because when he went to the Nets, he was the third fiddle, right? Kyrie's crazy, the vaccination thing, Harden ain't come into shape, right? KD playing out of his mind, all NBA, MVP candidate. Right now, Harden is starting to pick it up in the play department, but and also the fact that they chose the Nets versus the Knicks. I mean, this is a New York town. Everyone knows it. Brooklyn is doing well, even though they lost a couple and KD's out for 4 to 5 weeks, but no one's talking about that. They get small headlines in this state, and therefore, if you get small headlines in this state, your promotional dollars are decreasing. Your marketing dollars are decreasing. So you're not the guy that was at Houston anymore. What team can he go to? He wants to go to the hot weather area, but Philly wants to trade for you right now. And you have an opportunity. If you go to Philly, you have an opportunity to play with another beast. You're going to go to Miami. You're going to go to where? The Clippers with bad baggage. I mean, it kind of says, it speaks to the player. He didn't want it. And I can't back a player like that.
Well,
Kevin Durant.
Let me ask you this question though, because I kind of feel like I understand him honestly, I feel like Irvin is like he is the big block of ice that the Nets boat are running into. I feel like he's the one that kind of flipped the whole script and even has KD had KD and Harden like, yo, like we've had it, and then now you know. So I mean, I don't know if it's fair. I don't know if it's yes, you know, he showed up last year so overweight. It was funny to watch. But you know, at the same time.
But if I'm the Nets, what I do is I trade Kyrie Irving, because guess what? You can't have what they have right now. You can't have a part-time player, because you need a full-time player to know what your team is. You know, they've only played like 20 games together, or like some ridiculous number like that.
Yeah.
And you're right. They you know, Kyrie Irving was the one that sold these guys a bag of goods. We had a pandemic, and now he's become a martyr for the anti-vaxxers, which is all good and dandy, but you know, rules are rules, and now you can't play, and this is your livelihood. And now you messed up the opportunity for a Harden to win a championship, and for Kevin Durant to win another championship. I feel bad for Kevin Durant, no joke. I felt bad when he went to Golden State, although he teamed up with Steph Curry, only because I wanted him to be that guy on his team. I felt bad when he came to Brooklyn and chose Kyrie as a running mate and got hurt. I felt bad when he chose Harden and Harden came in fat. I mean, it's a bad situation. And lastly, I feel bad for the LeBron stans that believe that LeBron's the 1A to Jordan, because we all know who this man right here is.
Oh my
MJ
God.
all the way, baby.
Yeah. For me,
Here we go.
I'm still a Knicks fan, though. I'm still a Knicks fan.
Here we go.
I know that Harden is the bigger tabloid, but for me, LeBron passing Kareem is a bigger story for me, only because Kareem's record has stood for decades. And
Half these kids don't even know Kareem, man.
Right. And LeBron and Kareem is a GOAT in his own right, you know, but LeBron isn't like he's a pass first kind of a player. And for him to break the record, you know, just shows the outstanding feats that man is capable of. And just, I mean, look at him at 37, still dropping buckets. I mean, he's, you know, if the Lakers had a better record, he'd be in the MVP conversation. It's just legitimate. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. LeBron's an incredible player. Me personally, I could never put him over Jordan, just because I'm just from the era of Jordan. And, you know, all those players that didn't win a championship because of Jordan speaks volumes in itself. You know, like those jerseys are like, they are the mound in which his throne sits on. You got Barkley, Malone, Stockton, you know, so many dudes didn't get a chip because of him. But LeBron is definitely the closest player, you know, and he'll, you know, this generation coming up should say LeBron, because this is the greatest player that they've ever seen. And you know, there's no denying. We've seen the highlights. We've seen it. And yeah, you know, he hasn't won as much as Jordan. He's been very vulnerable in the spotlight at times, which is kind of anti-Jordan in a sense. But when you surmise everything that he's done, assists, rebounds, you know, even at one point he was blocking shots too. You know, he definitely steals. I mean, his overall resume or CV for Ed, because Ed rocks the CV. We know Ed, but you know, yeah, it's the culmination. It's just really, it's impressive. And you know, I don't know. I'll never say LeBron is better, but he's the closest. He's got to be. You know, I mean, and I know Kareem would hate that. Wilt just spun in his grave saying that, you know, and a bunch of other players. But nah, you know, if I had a top 5, LeBron is definitely my number 2. So I don't know.
Over Kobe?
Yeah, over Kobe.
and I know,
Definitely.
and I know.
Kobe's not in my top five.
I never,
Although I love Kobe.
I never say this. I never say this because
Kobe.
Eddie won't let me hear the end of it. But for me, it's always gonna be Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. It's just too close to really. It's really too close for me to like. I don't
think Kobe's resume isn't as impressive as Kareem or as impressive as There's players. I think Kobe is in the top 10. Remember, 3 of his rings comes through Shaq.
Yo, Kareem had
right. All right,
but Kareem, Oscar Robinson, like
right.
Yeah, Kareem doesn't get his flowers though. Like Kareem, maybe because he was a post player and
Kareem had the most unstoppable
outside
shot.
Our era.
The Skyler. That was
like
undefensible.
Dominated like 8 championships.
Guys, we need to take off the Knicks hat.
Kareem is from New York, by the way.
We need to take off the Knicks stuff and have a GOAT conversation one day.
We will.
We'll do that. We will. I mean, the way the Knicks are playing, why not?
Right. We're gonna need something to talk about when the playoffs start.
That's how we start. That's how we survive the Knicks. We got to talk about other teams.
Yeah, Kobe's an emotional pick for people, but when you look at his resume,
no way.
I would have him in my top 10, maybe.
No way.
Man.
No way.
Yeah, I have him.
He's a better shooter out of the 3.
Kobe is the second greatest player to ever walk the earth.
No.
Without a doubt.
It's a compelling argument.
I got an unpopular opinion. I don't like to start my GOAT conversation anything before like 1980. The game was so different. If we're talking about Wilt Chamberlain and these guys,
not Bird.
When you talk, you guys, bad dude. You go back a little bit too far. That's like comparing. It's like the comparisons are way too different. You gotta try to keep it within 2 eras. You can't go back 6 eras and start talking about
evolution. You talk about evolution, but I don't see anybody with an 80-inch vertical. Jordan had a 47-inch vertical. That's not that. Not many guys have more than that. You know what I'm saying? Like Jordan was still like the fastest player and jumped the highest and was jumping off the free throw line. You know what I'm saying? So when you say evolution, when you say it, it sounds like everybody has an 80-inch vertical. That's not the truth.
No. Okay,
the truth.
I'll give you Jordan. I'll give you Jordan in his time as the athletic freak, right? And I even give you Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the athletic freaks. But when I look at Jordan and Wilt and Kareem, I got to look at what the league was at that time. And we could get into that at a different time. But you could argue that LeBron's route to the finals was the toughest route that any of the GOATs ever took to win one championship.
Only because
when he was in Cleveland. He was in Cleveland.
Only because he kept on hopping to teams.
I mean, he was.
Nobody wanted to go to Cleveland either. He tried to recruit.
So you could argue that Cleveland champion, and
he went to a championship with nobody. And didn't win anything. It got swept. The next championship that he won was with Kyrie and Kevin Love.
Yeah, you can also argue that LeBron
he did win one of the greatest championships ever.
And then with Miami, he had Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade's a top 25 player of all time. Chris Bosh is the top 35 player of all time. Top 50 player of all time.
Me and Eddie have argued this for hours at a time. But you can also argue that LeBron was the greatest 18, 19-year-old to ever walk the earth. What he did at that age compared to the other GOATs, he saved the city.
I agree with that. He had a lot of expectations and he actually met the expectations. Yeah. And ironically, and I'll give you all the flowers, I'll give him all the flowers. At 37 years old, he's averaging 27.9 points a game, second in the league with a PR of 25.5. That's amazing.
Yeah, his story's not done. His story's not done.
But are the Lakers going to win anything? I don't think so.
We'll see. Hey, the jury's not out on that. Russell Westbrook is a great basketball player, and he's slumping.
He doesn't get enough respect.
AD's a great basketball player, and they slumping. I think Vogel's a good coach. I'm not writing the Lakers off yet. Not yet.
Well, fellas, this is a great show.
No, it wasn't.
Great conversation.
Yeah.
Great show.
Next week's show will be a great show. That's for sure.
Listen, man, you gotta take
Tune in next week.
It can get worse.
It
can get worse, man.
Tune in next week.
Yo, Eddie, did you have the sandwich? Did you eat a
I didn't
pastrami
have
sandwich
the
this week?
sandwich. I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna come back and report on that sandwich. I'm gonna make a detailed note.
You gotta put a little mustard in that bit, all right?
Yeah. I don't see.
I
any
wish
mustard
everyone
in that.
well, but the best thing that can happen is Tibbs goes to protocol, man. He's next.
Oh,
You got to get everybody
you
on
wishing
protocol.
COVID.
That is messed up.
Should have did a trade. We should have got Jason Kidd.
Oh my God. Oh, that's evil.
You might need to edit this out.
COVID might kill him. He said it goes to
You
COVID.
might need to edit this part out.
I'm not co-signing that. That's a terrible, horrible comment.
Oh my God.
Listen, everybody else is in protocol, man.
Listen,
I think it's his turn.
this is how you survive the Knicks, right? This is what happens. Listen, you gotta get it. Gotta try to get it how you get it, right? Listen.
Right.
Oh man, that's horrible. Either way, we don't wish Tibbs to get COVID. We don't wish COVID on Tibbs.
Don't wish COVID on
anyone.
We're
Or
just
anyone.
kidding. This is a disclaimer. STK does not support wishing COVID on anyone. We're not doing that. Coach was just joking. Just putting that out there. But fellas, it's been real. Hopefully next week's show will be a lot better. Will be a lot more upbeat. Okay?
Following a win.
There was a lot
Following
of
a
depression.
win.
Following a
Following a win.
win. Please, we need next week. I thought it was gonna be tonight. Like I was like, oh, this is.
I'm about to get on the pressure hotline.
Listen,
555 Knicks.
This is struggle eating right here. This like tonight's game, you'd be eating like 3 of these just to get.
I
through
want
it.
that sandwich. I need that sandwich.
I feel like it should be in a hero, the pastrami sandwich.
No, it goes on rye. It goes on rye with a little bit of mustard.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. I'm gonna get some tomorrow.
Right.
Back to what is pastrami? What is it?
Don't
Listen,
ask
y'all.
that. Don't ask that. Don't ask that.
Y'all look up
We don't ask that.
pastrami,
We don't
what
ask
it is. Go grab one. STK signing out. We wish y'all the best.
Peace.
Stay
Yeah,
safe.
take care,
Wear your
take care.
mask.
Thank you.
And pray that Tibbs
Changes.
that changes something. Changes
Adapt.
or quits.
Retires.
Yeah, retires. Right?
I'm gonna be honest. Don't quit. Make it to the end of the year, bro.